What's up, pilots? It's Infamous, and today we're back with another tier list. We've had some changes recent times here, the March update, and it changed some planes. And really, the MSI tournament that just took place, I think, showed us some very interesting things. We're going to get into it today. You're probably wondering, though, A, why do I have my entire tier list shown here? Why do I have planes circled, and some in groups, some single, and so on and so forth? All I'm going to explain. Reason why I have my planes circled here is because one of my viewers hopped into a chat with me the other days by the name of Beluga PT, I believe it was, and was like, "Hey, bro, could you shorten up the reviews a little bit and just talk about the planes that were changed and kind of what happened, and just talk about those planes?" And so I was like, "Absolutely, I can do that." So hopefully this will be a lot shorter review. We're not going to discuss a lot of these other planes that are not circled. We're mostly going to talk about the planes that are circled and why they were changed from where I had them listed on the previous tier list. So we're just going to bust right into this. These are being taken as level 8 with their level 8 abilities. And we're going to talk about kind of why I have them where I have them, and about this newer meta that I think is coming into the game slowly but surely, replacing the attacker meta, and we're going to talk about that today. So one of the reasons why a lot of planes got the buffs they got or the nerfs they got was because they were either performing too well or performing too little. And a lot of attackers got nerfed, as we know. Some of them got nerfs like the A10 that really seemingly didn't even need nerfs. It was doing okay. I don't think it was overpowered. It was doing just okay. People were just doing well in it, but that's not to say that it was like crushing everything where, like the Su-25 was, right? Which, by the way, still S tier, which just tells you, like, even after all of the nerfs that have hit that plane, still S tier. Yeah, like how broke was it when it came in? So just kind of picture that, if you will. Su-27 here, the first one circled, it was A tier, it got moved to B tier. Why? Fairly simple. A lot of the planes that you see up here now can have multiple missiles in the air. Some can't. But the reason why this is down in B is because it's a good plane. It's, I think, better than the Su-33 in some aspects. I think it's a little bit better than the Su-30. But I'll be honest with you, it's not as maneuverable as a 29. It doesn't have medium fighter maneuverability. It doesn't have the maneuverability of the Su-35 or the Su-47. And for those reasons, I just felt like as a flanker, it kind of just fell in line with the Su-30 and Su-33. Honest to goodness, there wasn't a whole lot of standout performance from this plane over these other two, in my humble opinion. F-35, by the way, not circled, but still trash. Just want to point that out. That plane is still kind of garbage. A-10, it got nerfed. I believe its acceleration didn't get nerfed, but I believe its roll rate got nerfed, and it just doesn't feel quite as good to fly. And I believe its degrees per second got nerfed by 1 degree a second or something like that. Again, why these nerfs were coming out for this particular plane, not 100% sure, but they did do it. The A6 got a fire rate buff, I believe, but that doesn't really help the fact that the plane just it's somewhat quick-ish for an attacker of its size and what it can do. It has a radar jam ability. It's good, but it's still just kind of meh. Like, again, with this new meta that's coming in, which I believe to be the mobility and agility meta, meaning planes that are quick, that can maneuver really well, that have great guns, fast lock speeds. You'll see that as a common trend as we kind of go up a little bit. A lot of these planes have that, or have some kind of stealth or ability to hide themselves. That's going to be a big thing in the next meta. Like, you're going to want that. And attackers are going to slowly, in my opinion, they're going to kind of phase out, and everybody's going to realize, hey, we actually need to be able to be more mobile and be able to get behind our opponents. People are going to start thinking about the game a little bit more as more and newer players come in. You're going to see this, I believe, become a prevailing trend, if you will. As far as the next, we have the MiG-31. This one actually made some jumps. Previously, I believe it was in B tier or C tier, and this one made some jumps because it's got a lot going for it, and the MSI tournament really showed how valuable this plane can be at the higher tiers. I say higher tiers, but really it's higher levels. If you get them upgraded and you put mods on it, this plane is exceptional. And faster flares. I believe that's something you should have on every interceptor for the most part. If you're playing it like an interceptor, F-14 might be the only difference with that because it can be played like a hybrid heavy fighter in a way. But I'm not getting into discussing playstyles so much with planes as just and the mods per se, because we're not really supposed to be taking mods into account here. But the F-14 and the MiG-31 share a lot of similarities. They both have guns, but they just do their jobs differently, but they have relatively the same job. The MiG-31 does have 2 long-range IRs versus its 4 radars. This still kind of keeps it relative to a fight. It also has those 2 long-range IRs, which can thwart stealths. So that's also pretty cool, I think. Moving on to the Su-47, I recently just picked this up. I have it at relatively low level. I believe it's level 8 on both of my accounts. And I got to be honest with you, I am just not loving it as much as I like the Su-35 personally. Yeah, it has the ability to throw some ranged missiles and stuff, and that's good, and it carries quite a few missiles. But if I'm being honest, like for the dogfighting, nah, Su-35 way better. Su-47 is just good for being out and away. Like if you can keep kind of a distance between you and the enemy, and you could just spam and then hide or collect ammo, go hide and then pop back up on people. That's the best way to play Su-47, honestly. Su-35 doesn't mind to get into a dogfight and kind of duke it out with people a little bit. MiG-21 and MiG-23. 23 came down, MiG-21 came up. That was because of the buffs to the MiG-21. The IR missiles are a little faster on this one now. They lock the same speed. I believe they do a little more damage. It's a really decent plane now. The gun does a little more damage, I think, too. It's great in air superiority, but for TDM elimination, it just locks fast and spam missiles really well. It is fairly maneuverable. Not overly maneuverable, but fairly maneuverable. And the F5 kind of stayed where it was because with only 4 IRs, it does have the barrage ability, but with the 4 IRs, it's kind of a one-trick pony in that regard, and the maneuverability difference between the F5 and the 21 is not insanely different. And now that there's the JF-17 in the game, the F5 has kind of got left in the dust, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, the F5 to me has just kind of gone down in importance once that plane hit the market. J20. If anything can be said about interceptors, if you have a stealth interceptor, I mean you're one step above, and that's why I couldn't have it with these two. Simply put, F-14 MiG-31 not as good in my opinion as a J20 on your team. If someone knows how to fly the J20, again, there's that caveat. It doesn't have a gun, but it does have 8 missiles, 6 of which are radars, long-range radars. And they are fairly maneuverable missiles at that. They seem to zip to the targets really, really well. I've noticed that lately too. I think they did buff those long range radar missiles. So there's that to be said. But yeah, J20 definitely a great plane to pick up if you're looking for a solid interceptor and you have hangar level 20 open. Definitely grab it. It's doing great right now. Here's one I never thought I'd see up in AS, the F4. My goodness, this thing has made some absolute leaps. The amount of buffs that have hit this plane have almost been equivalent to the nerfs that have hit the Su-25, except for they've really affected this plane. Well, the nerfs the Su-25, they've affected it. It's not nearly as good as it was, but let's be honest, it's still pretty good. But I digress. Back to F4. The F4 has 400 missiles, still 4 IR missiles. It has that stress turning mod at level 8. I mean, this thing is actually really solid now when it comes to just outright gameplay and TDM and elimination. It has a fast lock speed, faster than it did have. Used to have 1 second lock speed. I think now it has a 0.6 second lock speed. That is nutty. Very, very good. We're very happy for that. And if anything, it's almost like an American heavy fighter version of the M2K. I mean, that's pretty darn cool in my opinion. The guns aren't as good as the M2Ks, obviously. They're still the American style guns, but they're definitely good nonetheless. I really do enjoy it, especially in the state that it is now. F-15 is still a beast. It also can hold up to 4 missiles in the air, just like the F-4, except for these are not hunter missiles on the F-15. These are standard manual, so if you shoot them at a target, whatever target you shot it at, it stays locked onto that target. Even if you were to lock another target while that missile's in the air and fire another set, which means you can have missiles out at multiple targets in the air at the same time with the F-15. A little nugget there, maybe you did or didn't know that you could do that. The F-15 is actually really, really good right now, with its high power to weight ratio, just a great platform, great feeling plane to fly. It feels better to fly than the F4, realistically speaking. However, both are not slouches now after the buffs, so I am a massive fan of the F-15 for sure, and the F4 right now. The JF-17, this one's relatively new. This plane, with that edge boost ability, is just nasty. The missiles lock relatively fast. The radar missiles, they lock relatively fast. That's really great. It has precision cannons. Um, I mean, the guns hit relatively hard. The missiles reach out. It has 2 IRs. It has the edge boost. I mean, literally F5, but way, way better. And again, that mobility, agility, planes that are fast, planes that can get in and around. Now, this is the last black market plane we had. I'm curious to see what the next one is. Supposedly it's another medium fighter. I'm very, very curious to see what that's going to be, because that is going to be very, very cool. I bet it follows the plane's going to be fairly fast. It's going to be fairly maneuverable. It's going to have decent-ish, if not great, guns, and the missiles will lock relatively quickly. I have a funny feeling all of those things are going to be present in the next black market plane. Maybe, maybe not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are, right? Um, F-16s. F-16, I've put this S finally. The more I played at level 20, this plane is just really, really good. Um, it's up here for different reasons than like the MiG-19 and the F-1. This plane just it's so mobile and it gets around so well that in this next meta that's coming, like I said, the mobility meta, I believe that this plane is just going to shine all the brighter because it is able to get around. You can just, if you, like, I don't like where I'm at, or, I need to get behind that guy. It's no problem with the F-16. The F-16 just responds so well to input. You can get wherever you need to go with it. It's just a beautiful plane. Realistically, I can't believe that I haven't put this as sooner, but I also think that with the attacker meta having been like it was and now isn't as much, I think that this plane deserves its spot up here in the S tier. I really do. The MiG-19, obvious why it is here. The F1, obvious way it is here. A4, obvious way it's here. Su-25, still obvious. ADV, better be obvious. And Su-57, I still think deserves to be here. This plane is just the best of the level 20 stealth planes. M2K, this plane made a big jump. I believe I previously had it at A. And my reasonings for that were fairly simple. It lost a lot of speed in the turns, and the guns overheat. All very true. But I will say this about this plane, and again, this is a review for TDM elimination. This plane, the guns delete if you're accurate and you're good at the game. I'm saying if you're actually paying attention and you're really flying your plane well, the M2K rewards players that are good at the game. I don't know how else to say it. It does reward you. And so if you can plan ahead, if you can prepare yourself and for how you need to engage an enemy, and you can kind of set up for it, it's not like an F-16 where no matter how they engage you, you can kind of do something about it, or like same like with the MiG-19 too. The M2K, you've got to kind of set up and prepare. But my goodness, like if you get guns on, you just insta delete somebody. I mean, it is just instant deletion. The guns are extremely potent on the M2K. They do overheat fast, so you just got to have a lot of discipline. But if you do have it, the M2K is fantastic. So I have to put it up here. I believe that this plane, just upon review of it and just how much people are using it with the chaff ability, I mean, you have almost like a basic built-in disruptive that just doesn't take away the gun lead, but you just block all radar missiles, not block, but they won't track you, right? So yeah, honestly, it's such a good plane in that regard. But it is harder to fly. I have to put that caveat on there because it is, it is a drawback to the plane. So this has been my review of these planes that have been changed and the way that the game is going to move forward in the future, I believe. I don't know how quickly this new meta, if it even will come in. but I perceive that it will. I've seen a lot of high level players trend toward this meta already. The planes that they've been flying, a lot of your S level planes have these in common. You know, they have either extreme firepower, and like the case in Su-25, but literally every other plane up there has some kind of really great guns, high mobility, high turning. Like it just, you don't see a lot of attackers up here that don't have that too. The A4, another one, highly mobile, very deadly because it can just move around now. If that thing was slow still, you wouldn't see the A4 up there, almost guarantee it. So just kind of keep that in mind. The GR3, by the way, still no slouch at AS, right? This plane is making some debuts. Uh, Again, it got a little bit of a rocket buff there with how many it can carry, and just it's doing well. So yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope this was informative. If you have any questions, please throw them down in the comments. I'd love to answer them for you. And until next time, pilots, clear skies.